Hello, Aero Livers. This is Kendall Johnson. Welcome to the Aero Living Female Athlete Podcast. What is Aero Living? A motto, a mindset, a way of life. Based on the quote, an arrow can only be shot by pulling it backwards. In life, when you are faced with difficulties, it means it's going to launch you into something great. So just focus and keep aiming. On the Aero Living Female Athlete Podcast, I provide interviews, stories, and tips to empower female athletes to play and live in the most authentic and fulfilling way possible. So let's get to it. In today's episode, I interview World Cup champion, U.S. national soccer team member, Portland Thorns defender, Meghan Klingenberg. When Meghan was 13 years old, her mom pulled her out of school and the two of them road tripped to University of North Carolina to see the women's soccer team play for the first time. After that game, Meghan began writing letters to head coach Anson Dorrance expressing her interest in playing for his team. Her dreams of becoming a Tar Heel came true and her career accelerated from there. After college, Meghan was drafted to the Women's Professional Soccer League. She received her first call-up to the full national team in 2011, which she claims was a terrible experience, and became a consistent call-up from then on out. In 2012, she just missed out on the Olympics roster and went to London as an alternate. This experience created a huge paradigm shift for Meghan. She knew that if she wanted to be on the team, then she had to be different than everyone else. So she opted to head overseas to Sweden and play with some of the best players in the world. Meghan's unconventional path paid off, and in 2015, Meghan started every single match in the World Cup and helped the team win gold. She currently plays for the Portland Thorns, who won the NWSL Championship last season. In our conversation, Meghan talks about her insanely competitive family and how a Disney trivia game night turned into family members shunning each other for days, the value she has found in seeing a therapist, her involvement with the U.S. Women's National Team's Players Association, and standing up for equal pay, her approach for dealing with haters on social media, her strategies for dealing with the pressure of U.S. national team camp, how she became Edie's special friend, which is Portland Thorns head coach Mark Parsons' young daughter, who is adorable. And we also talk about the book she is reading right now called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. And I talked about my desire to start a book club for Aero Living, and I'm making it happen. So essentially, I am going to get other professional female athletes, Meghan potentially being one of them, and others, to create a book club where we meet every so often virtually, and you can come in and listen, ask questions, comment, and just have it be a really interactive experience with everyone. If that is something that you would be interested in participating in, you can go to aeroliving.com/book club, or you can go to the show notes of this podcast, which are also on aeroliving.com, and enter your email, and you will be the first to know when this thing gets rolling. If you have any recommendations on books to read, please send them my way. Any questions at all, you can email me at aeroliving1@gmail.com or on the contact page on aeroliving.com. Okay, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with the lively, confident Meghan Klingenberg. Hello, Kling. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I want to start off by how we first met each other, which was back in 2014.
In Australia?
Yeah. I was playing overseas with mutual friend Keelan Winters, and I needed to get a haircut.
And Ellie Reed, don't you forget her?
Ellie Reed wasn't there.
Yeah, she was.
No.
Oh, she just came to visit too.
Oh, yeah, she visited.
Okay.
But you cut my hair for me. I needed a haircut. And I just wanted to thank you
Why
officially.
did you let that happen?
Did you cut hair normally?
That was my first time.
I feel, I'm open for anything, but you just look like you're like a nice hair cutter.
That's like really one of the best compliments you've ever given me.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that because in my mind, you have to, like, to be a hair cutter, people have to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have a bit of style. So, like, those were two really big compliments. So, thank you.
You're welcome. That was the start of me getting haircuts by my teammates. Literally, I haven't gotten one by someone else since. Last season, it was Amandine Henri.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Wasn't she bad, though? Like, pretty bad at it?
You were better. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm kind of due for one, but...
I mean, if you want me to, like, after this podcast,
Yeah,
give you a quick trim before your trip.
I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
So Portland. How do you like it here?
Ugh, what a weirdly awesome city. I really think that I like it so much because it reminds me a lot of Pittsburgh. It used to be super industrial. Now it's like a bit more hip. A lot of rivers, water. You go like 30 minutes outside the city and it's all wilderness. Lots of coffee, lots of beer, and pretty good food. So, I mean, if there's one spot that I wanted to land, it was definitely here. And so I'm really happy to be a part of this really weird city because I feel like I'm really weird too.
You fit in nicely.
Thank you. I mean, I do wear a lot of flannel, so.
What does a typical day of training look like for you?
Like,
A full
like
day.
what stage? Like preseason training or in season training or like my own training? What's up?
Let's go in season.
Okay, in season with the Thorns. It depends, what stage we're in, whether we're preparing for a game or whether we're just coming back. But usually it'll go play on Saturday, recovery on Sunday, day off on Monday, which is the worst day to have a day off, in case Mark Parsons is listening, by the way. Train, like re-entry training on Tuesday, and then hard practice with fitness on Wednesday. Then more like technical, tactical stuff Thursday. Friday, get just like prepped for the game and then do it all over again.
So one of those days, like what does a day look like for you personally waking up? What do you do before training and then after?
Yeah, I mean, I wake up pretty early. I like getting up early. I love I love having that alone time when nobody bugs me. So I'll wake up, I'll make like a really nice breakfast, have some coffee, and then I just kind of like cruise down to training. I have a really far commute, so it takes me a while to get there. Just kidding, I walk every day. So it's nice. I just show up to training really early, and then I just like doing a lot of stretching and rolling out on a foam roller and shooting the shit with my teammates and, making fun of Mark.
It's always a fun one.
It really is. Especially because everybody just joins in.
Yeah, it is true.
Such an easy target.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so then after training, what does that look like?
Okay, after training, we'll get done. What time? Like, depends, but usually not past 1:30. So we'll get done 1:30, shower, of course. And then it kind of depends, but I've been doing a lot of hustling lately in regards to, like, jobs outside of soccer. So I'll usually, like, post up in my apartment, have some coffee, or go to a coffee shop and try and, like, get a few things done. But I actually really like just like posting up and, just working on my computer and jamming out for the rest of the day. And then I'll go home and I make dinner because I love to cook and then do it all over again.
What kind of hustling are you doing?
Things that I cannot share on a podcast. No, I'm kidding. Doing some stuff with the Women's National Team Players Association as a player representative. So first we take care of our players, make sure that they're playing in safe conditions, and if they have issues with their employer or other members or whatever, we help them with that. But we're also doing some fun stuff in regards to like launching a new company where we're going to be able to sell our group likenesses. And so I've been posting some really hilariously awesome shirts and socks on my Instagram lately of like other teammates.
Oh, I saw those.
Yeah. So eventually those will be, maybe not those exact ones, but they'll be made. And it's the first time that you can ever get women's national team gear on clothing or just all kinds of different stuff. So we're pretty excited. And I'm pretty lucky because I get to see all the samples and then I get to wear all of the samples and post them on Instagram. So that's like one little job that I've been kind of hustling at.
Because people were asking where you got that Becky shirt.
Yeah.
That was from that.
I mean, that might be like a one-time only shirt, but like I feel so privileged to have one.
How does that even work? Do you come up with the style yourself?
No, heck no. Like essentially what we did is we kind of got together with the WNBPA, which is the WNBA Players Association, and the NFL Players Association, and created our own company called Rep Worldwide. And they're our licensee. And so for group likenesses, this is getting technical and a little bit boring, but for group likenesses, like for instance on the national team, if you take the 2015 Women's World Cup team and you want to put everybody on a shirt, that's considered group likeness. So then we'd go through our new company and they'd find a company, whether it's Fanatics or Strideline or any of these different companies, whoever they are, they can then use our likenesses because they make a contract with us and then distribute and sell.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's never been done before, so it's really fun.
Nice. I like that. What has been the most challenging part of being on the PA?
The time commitment. No, I really love it. I really, really enjoy it. I think there's some things that are a little bit soul crushing, like finances or budgeting or like trying to get like a PO box because we need to make sure that we're registered in a certain state. So doing those tasks is not exactly the most fun, but it's kind of like in soccer. You have to do the sprints and the lifting and all the little things that kind of suck sometimes to be able to do the games or the practices or whatever. So I actually genuinely love doing it.
Mm. You're someone, at least throughout the season, you would always fill me in on the latest news because I tend to...
What kind of news?
Just anything, the newest, what's going on in the political world.
Mm.
Have you always been interested in keeping up to date and just standing up for the things that you believe in?
I think I had kind of a political awakening in 2008 when I was in college and I was exposed to some new ideas and people and thoughts for the first time, and there was this guy named Barack Obama running for president. And so I was like, well, I can't just vote without knowing anything about anyone. So I just started filling up my Twitter timeline with all kinds of news outlets and then reading up on the candidates, and I got really into it. And so now my Twitter timeline is like a mishmash of news outlets and like athletes from other sports, and that's pretty much it.
What more do you need?
I don't know. Nothing else for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you're into cooking.
Just a tad.
When did that hobby begin?
Oh, geez, cooking. Well, cooking's always been a really big part of my family life. My family's super Italian, so we would always go over my grandma's house every Sunday because my grandma, my paps, my aunts, my cousins, my family, plus like my grandma's family, all lived in Pittsburgh, so we would always go over their house every single Sunday. So we had like 4 generations of Klauses and Klingenbergs there, and we would just have Italian food. And so my mom, started cooking, and we did that with our own family. especially since my grandma passed. Now we're kind of the house that has everyone over for holidays and stuff like that. So I just think it kind of comes out of that connection to like food is connection, food is family time, food is love, like showing love and receiving love. And I think that's why I enjoy it so much, is especially when you can share it with people.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite dish that you make?
No, I like trying new stuff all the time. But I think there's like certain things that my friends like more than others. Because like sometimes I'll invite friends over and then be like, yeah, I'm trying something new, and it goes a little wild. So they're like the tried and true dish is best.
I was watching one of your Kling's kitchens, and you were making a smoothie bowl.
Uh-huh.
And you just have this massive chunk of pasta just to make it blended.
Yeah, things don't always go to plan, but like, you know, when they do, it's great. And when they don't, you make a hilarious video.
Yeah. People were asking if you're going to have any more Kling's kitchens coming out.
I cannot confirm or deny, but yeah, there will be more.
I cannot confirm or deny, yes.
I'll be doing something at least.
Nice. So, back to your family. How many siblings do you have?
Just Drew, he's my brother. He's 24.
Did he play soccer growing up?
He did, and he was actually like the far more talented sibling. He just was like so much more chill. He's like I don't want to call him the black sheep, because like he's not a black sheep, but he's just like different than me and my mom and my dad, who are like super competitive, like incredibly type A, in your face kind of people. And Drew's just like, yeah, you know, I trained yesterday. He's like, you know what? I like soccer, but I also like all these other things. So, it's like, he was super chill about it. He went to Penn State and played there for 4 years, so he was really good, but he just didn't have the passion like I do, which is cool because he's passionate about other stuff.
Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine your family all being like you and the type of
oh my god, we can't
have.
even have family game nights anymore, Kendall. Like we had this game, I can't even remember what it's called now, but it was this game where you had to like it was on a DVD, but it had a board game, and it would ask like questions about Disney movies, because like we know like everything about Disney movies going back to like the 70s. Mm-hmm. And so you had to like answer it first, and like everybody would be like elbowing each other to like answer the DVD first. And so it got to the point where we had to just stop playing because people would get so mad that they wouldn't talk for days. And it's like, okay, we don't see each other for long periods anymore, because like I'll go back for Christmas for like 10 days or whatever, and if you're not talking to somebody for 3 of them, it's kind of a bummer.
So after those, would you guys both or whoever lost would just not talk to the other person?
Well, first we would have like a blow up fight, and then it would like trickle into not talking for a while, and then after that people would like start opening back up. But then, like, whoever perceived winning would start, like, putting salt in the wound, like, you know, like, hey, remember when I won that card game a couple days ago? And so it would start over again.
Oh, my God. I would want to slap you if you're my sister.
That happened.
So, do you feel that type of competitiveness and, like, openly yelling at each other, is that healthy for you guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably not, since we like stopped it, and we're having way better. Like, we're having activities that bring us all together now instead of bring us all apart. But honestly, I do think that it has had a huge impact in my career, by like wanting to be the best and being so competitive. It's helped me in training, it's helped me in games, it helped me in all kinds of ways. Like when I was little, I actually don't know if I should tell the story because I'm not sure if it's child abuse or not. Well, but I'm gonna go for it. And you can tell me that if it is, and then you can edit it out. My mom when I was little, she used to she thought it was so funny. She would hold me down and tickle the shit out of me. And I would like just try and get out of it, like squirming and like trying to like kick her, but she's just holding me down and tickling me, and I'm getting so angry that I'm crying. Like, I'm so mad that I'm crying, and she would do it for like 30 minutes because she thought it was funny, and I would just be like, trying to get out.
Oh my God.
And she thought it was the funniest thing ever, but I think that had a really big impact on me.
I kid you not, not for that length, but my dad would tickle me, and they think it's funny because I never cried, but because you're laughing, but it's like painful.
I was not laughing.
I am actually
so mad.
I will honestly never tickle my child because I know how much it hurts.
You say that now, I'm going to check in with you in like a couple of years.
Would you tickle your child? Like, incessantly?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, that was...
Because I'm
horrific.
Actually scarred. Oh, that's funny. I don't think that's child abuse per se.
Per se? I don't know. My mom's going to be like, that's not what happened. I'm going to be like, that's exactly what happened, Mom, and you know it.
Oh, man. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, a bunch of sports. I loved sports. My mom and my dad both played a bunch of sports. So they really encouraged me and my brother to do whatever we wanted. And we were lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to do that. And so I did basketball and taekwondo, and softball for a while. But soccer was really like my favorite. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just stuck to that when I got to high school.
Did you always have a dream of playing for the national team, or what were you playing for?
Well, it's really funny. When I was growing up, there wasn't really a national team. Like, there was, but I didn't know about it, and there was no women's professional league. So I was like, okay, well, what's the highest level I can play? And it was college. And so I wanted to play for the Tar Heels because they were by far the best team. So little 9-year-old Megan was like all in for the Tar Heels by the time, like before she even could use two hands to tell her age. That was terrible. Take that out. That was so goofy. But yeah, I just like, yeah, there was no women's professional league, which is wild. Just think about how big of a privilege it is for these kids now to be able to watch the NWSL. I mean, that's so cool. I would have eaten that shit up when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Am I not allowed to swear on the podcast?
I love the swearing, obviously.
Feel free to swear as well. I'm totally down for swearing stuff.
So am I. Mm-hmm. I think swearing is actually, if it's who you are, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes, we were talking about this earlier, we censor ourselves for social media or public appearances or whatever, and I think sometimes swearing isn't hurting anybody. It's just adding a little bit of exclamation to what you're saying or doing.
I agree with that, and I think that there's obviously, you want to be cognizant of who you are talking to, but if it's your platform, I do agree that we tend to censor ourselves a lot more. And you just gotta do you know?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Too far.
Oh my god. So what about UNC were you interested in?
I'm gonna tell a little story. I learn in storytelling. I don't even know if that's like a thing. You know how there's like kinesthetic learners who learn by doing and people that learn by speaking? Well, I learn by stories. Mm-hmm. So anyways, me and my mom when I was little, we would take these spontaneous road trips. And it would just be like on a 3-day weekend, or my mom would take me out of school on a Friday. Sorry, Mom. And we would just like hit the road and go wherever we felt was cool for the weekend. So one of our weekend trips was to North Carolina, to the coast. And so she pulled me out of school on Friday, and she's like, okay, we're going to head down to the coast. So we cruise down through West Virginia and are going across the state of North Carolina. And my mom says, okay, it's Friday night, the Tar Heels are playing, and I know you love soccer, so I thought maybe we'd stop here, watch a game, and then we'll go to the coast the next night. And so we stopped and we watched the Tar Heels play, and I was just in awe. I don't even remember who they were playing, but I just know they were kicking the other team's ass. And I just wanted to be exactly like all of them. And so after that, all I did was, like, think about UNC, talk about it, like, want to know who's on the team, would, like, write the coaches' notes, which Anson and Tom, the director of operations, actually kept and, like, gave to me when I graduated.
Oh my god.
So there was, like, a note from 13-year-old me to them saying, like, I want to be a Tar Heel so bad one day. So, yeah, I was, like, all in at a pretty young age.
That's adorable. At that age, did you have any doubts in your mind, or were you just, this is what I'm going to do?
I mean, I'm sure I had plenty of doubts, but I don't really remember them now because I have so many now that they kind of just take over. But yeah, I think for me, I just wanted to make it happen, and I would do anything to make it happen. And that included a lot of training and a lot of studying and a lot of extra time that I think, didn't go towards social activities or, family time or whatever. It was spent doing soccer.
Were you obsessed with anything else?
That must be a no. If you can't think of it on the spot. I don't think so. Were you obsessed with soccer?
I didn't realize how obsessed I was.
Really?
Until my mom saves a bunch of stuff and she was cleaning out.
Did you write little notes?
I didn't write notes at that age, but I would write a bunch. My phrase was, I don't play soccer, I live it. And I had this shirt.
That's amazing.
I had this shirt and I would wear it everywhere, and I would make little, like at school, any sorts of art and craft, I would say that. But she was cleaning out my closet, and she saved, like, I had probably like 10 different tiny shirts that said, soccer chick, soccer rocker, like, sorry, sorry guys, it's a girl's job, with like this. That's pretty cool that they had that back then, now that I think about that. Yeah.
Jack and Jill ran up a hill. Jill won.
What?
You know that nursery rhyme? Jack and Jill ran up the hill.
Yeah,
Jill won.
Yeah.
I think I saw kids having those shirts. I feel like you would have rocked that one.
I like that. But I do think I now for sure I know I have an obsessive personality towards things. Like now I just love learning and that kind of stuff. Would you say you're soccer?
Yeah, I think so. But I also am able to do a lot of other stuff like the PA. Like to me, that's a passion because I want to be able to be involved in startups and hopefully be a founder one day, because that's really interesting to me. It's along a lot of the same lines as soccer. You have to hustle a lot. You have to do a lot of things that a lot of other people wouldn't do. And you have to have this crazy belief in something that probably won't work. So to me, there's a lot of parallels, and that's really exciting. And I'm just trying to make sure that I balance soccer with that passion, because I can't let that passion take over yet, because soccer is my number one right now. But eventually, that's what I would like to transition into.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Something I was thinking when you're telling about your story about UNC and how your mom took you out of school. I had a similar, quite different, but similar experience. My cousin was playing in the state golf tournament. Both of them were, and they're competing against each other. And I was like, Mom, I'm never going to remember this day.
Like brothers and sisters? Like brothers? Or
two brothers were playing
okay,
it.
Cool.
And I said, Mom, I'm never going to remember this day of school. Like, can we please go? And so we did a road trip, like an hour, and watched them. They ended up winning. But
they won?
One got first, and I think the other got second.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I am a big believer. I love education, but doing, that is something that obviously had such a massive impact on your life.
Yeah.
And I just think doing those kind of things are so important.
No, it's a great point, because, I mean, imagine if I didn't do that with my mom.
Where'd you have gone?
I actually don't know. I mean, that set up my whole trajectory for soccer, for life, for what I'm into. So I think, yeah, learning is really important. And that's a great point, but there's different ways to learn, and that's one of them.
Yeah. So when did you first get called into the national team?
Well, I was in the youth system, and then the full team, though, not till 2011. 2011.
How was it? Do you remember your first camp?
Oh, yeah, it was awful. It was, like, so stressful. It was a January camp, so January camps are just, like, all about working hard, and with Pia, it was like 3-a-day practices every day. We would do like a lift in the morning, and then you would do a technical session in the morning, and then you would go out and do like a full session in the afternoon, and you would do that at least 3 days a week, and then the other ones were just like 2-a-days. So it was pretty grueling. But the cool part was that I did well enough to get asked to go on the second part of the trip to China. And I don't know if that's because people were injured, but I got to go. So I went to China, and it was so terrible. It was like the worst trip ever. It was like this industrial city. So you would wake up in the morning, and there was tons of skyscrapers. Like 10 million people lived in this city. But the skyscraper next to you couldn't see because of the smog in the morning. And it was just a block away. So you're like, I don't know if I want to breathe that.
Yeah.
So we didn't go out much, and I didn't know anybody, and you're stuck in a place where nobody speaks English. So I was like, this is terrible. But I did get my first cat. And my second one. Because of a kind of funny story, but I kind of think this person would be upset if I told it in public, so I'm going to just keep it to myself.
Okay. So it was a terrible experience. What made you want to?
God, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, why would somebody want to keep doing it after this experience? I don't know. But I just think that I love soccer so much that the experience didn't matter. I find soccer really fun when it's super competitive and super fast. And that was as competitive as you can get and as fast as you can get. So that's where I wanted to be, whether it was in China or whether it was at the Ritz, which never happened, by the way, in the United States. So I just kind of put up with it so I could play the soccer piece.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that it was easier and you were more comfortable the more that you went in?
I don't know if national team camp ever necessarily gets easier, but you do get more comfortable because now some of my best friends are on the team, and you know, I can just shoot the shit with them, or if I need to vent, I can go over to their rooms and just vent. I understand kind of how everything works now, and so if you understand how everything works, it automatically becomes a little bit easier, but I don't think anybody ever necessarily just feels comfortable there. And if you do, then you're a very special human.
How do you deal with the pressure? Do you have any mental strategies?
Tell myself I'm awesome at least once a day to keep from crying. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't think that I have any strategies in general, but I like to do yoga. For me, it's not necessarily about a workout. It's more about the peace of mind and being mindful and making sure that I'm being in the moment. So just reminding myself when I'm in those sessions at camp that hey, be in this moment. Let's not worry about what team you're on or whether you're in the starting lineup or if you're playing on position or what are the coaches thinking. There's so many things that you could think about, but just staying present and being able to focus on what you need to do for that day. And I think maybe there's still some stigma attached to it, but I really enjoy going to therapy and just chatting it out with somebody that I'm paying to listen to me. That can kind of help me with strategies of how to confront somebody if I'm having issues, or how to reframe something so I can have less stress with something in my life. But I don't think that there's necessarily one thing that I do. It's more about just trying to live that mindfulness and recruit other people or recruit other ways to help with the stress.
I like that. I am a big fan of yoga as well, and therapy. I recently started doing therapy, and it's the funniest thing how it's like a stigma when you're literally just talking to someone about
Right?
things, and it's so helpful.
It's really helpful. My friend was talking to me the other day, and she's like, yeah, I just can't go to therapy because I can't tell my mom I'm going to therapy. I'm like, well, why? And she's like, well, she doesn't believe in it. What doesn't she believe in, you know? Like, that's like saying you don't believe that massage works.
Yeah, I think the word therapy, it just sounds like there's something wrong with you.
Oh, touche. Yeah.
Um,
What have you found most helpful about it?
just having a consistent person where I can, sometimes I feel selfish venting to people about things, and I would rather to be able to go to someone where that is their job, and to just completely, it's separate from all my peers, everything else is just our little connection we have, and just to talk about whatever I want.
Yeah.
What about
Totally
you?
talk about what you need, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you found?
No, I think totally the same. Is that sometimes, one, we can either use our venting as a shield to not really talk about our emotions, to just vent. And I think that she helps me kind of dig into those instead of just, being like, well, this is this and this is this. She's like, okay, well, let's dig into like why this is this. And so that helps me a lot, because then I'm able to kind of do it for myself more than I was able to. And it's helped me not hold on to stress as long. It's more able to work through it and maybe not figure out like why it's happening or how to get rid of it, but to how to be more mindful and not let it affect me as much.
Yeah, I agree with that. And something that I've really learned, that I've been trying to apply more, is just this idea of feelings. You have a feeling, but then there's like a secondary feeling about how you feel about that feeling. Like if you're anxious, then you feel bad that you like shouldn't be feeling anxious, and it's like that feeling that I feel like is the biggest dagger. But knowing, okay, I'm feeling sad, and allowing yourself to feel it and not judging yourself for it, that's been...
Yeah, because it's almost like a cycle, right? Like if you feel bad about feeling anxious, then you feel more anxious, and then you feel more bad. So it's like, well, you're in this like shame spiral almost, and that's not good for anybody. It's not good for you, and it's certainly not good for people around you.
Yeah. When you do yoga, are you doing it in your room, or do you go someplace when you're on these trips?
Usually they bring in somebody that kind of just does a private session for us, which is really nice. So it takes the stress out of trying to find a good place, because if you're in a city that you don't know and you just go to some random yoga session, it could be like really terrible and actually cause more stress than if you like hadn't gone to it. So it's nice because they kind of like vet them a bit, like who have you worked with, what do you specialize in, this is what our girls want. So I really, really enjoy the yoga sessions.
Nice. I like that. So at the beginning of your career, what was the first big tournament that you were trying to make?
World Cup in 2011, but I came into it really late. Like I didn't even go to qualifying. My first qual-up was after. So I guess the first real one was the 2012 Olympics.
And how did that end up going?
It went okay. I mean, if it was a roster of 23, I would have been on it, like the World Cup, but it was a roster of 18. And so I was a alternate, and it was the first time they brought the alternates to the Olympics. So it was like preseason from hell. Like just imagine your worst preseason, then times it by 10, and that's what it was like, because it was like we would go and do our own lifting session in the morning, and then we would go do our own fitness session, and then we would train with the team, and then we would pretend to be Japan for the team, or Colombia for the team, or whomever for the team. And then afterwards, like we were like, we're always last in line for treatment, which is totally understandable, but like I was definitely hurting the most. Like I was dying. And then watching from the stands was really hard, because those are my friends and those are my buddies and those are my teammates, people that I play with every day, but I'm not able to participate. So it was really cool to be able to help them win, but it really was hard for me to sit there and know that everybody was getting a gold medal and know how much work these alternates put in and how much time and effort and energy to help them win and still not be able to get one as well.
Did
Sucked
that
a lot.
did that change your perspective at all about like why you play or just how you wanted to go about?
Yeah, it had I had a huge paradigm shift. I knew that if I wanted to be on the team, then I had to be different than everybody else. And so I went to Sweden because I wanted to learn something new and I wanted to get better. And I think that was one of the biggest growth periods of my game is being able to play on a team for 2 years with Marta and Caroline Sager and Vera Boquets and Jenny Hermoso and like all these really, really incredible players that I'm sure are going to be mad that I didn't mention them. But just learning from them every day for 2 days was a huge, huge growth period for me personally, but also soccer-wise. So then coming back, I think that it made it all the difference in the world going into the next cycle.
When you did go away, did you find that the like physical removal and being on your own, did that help with your mental space?
You know, there's something pretty cool, and you can tell me if you feel this way too, about starting fresh, where nobody knows you. They have no preconceived notions of who you are. You're not from their culture, so you could be anything you want to be. You're not restricted by their societal norms. So it was pretty cool just going over there and just being whoever I wanted to be. Not saying that I was like completely different, but like, but could you imagine? I'm trying to imagine who you became over there. But there is something just freeing about, you know, just knowing that it doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because I had a similar thought when I was in Peru recently, and how we're just so in our worlds, in our soccer worlds, but the world is so big. And when I was there, I was like, I could literally do whatever I want, say whatever I want, but why can't we just do that where we are right now?
I mean, I guess we can.
Yeah, we just naturally as humans care like what other people think and want to fit in and all that kind of stuff. But when I was thinking about that, I'm like, I just like my goal is to just not care what anyone thinks.
How's it going?
I think it's obviously I have a lot of room for growth, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit better every day.
Have you ever read the book Daring Greatly by Brené Brown?
Everyone tells me to read that. I have not, and it's on the top.
I'm in the middle of it
Really?
right now.
We were talking about that. We want to do a book
coffee
club.
shop.
Yeah.
Book club. Air Living Book Club. Boom.
Yeah.
It's starting, so everybody write this down.
What book do we want to do Daring Greatly?
Yeah, because I'm still only like 60 pages in, but it's because I go kind of slow and like to write down.
Okay. Yeah.
Underline.
Let's start a book club.
Stuff. Cool.
Anyways, yeah.
So it just talks about like shame and vulnerability and how we cannot have like a whole life or a fulfilling life without being vulnerable, and that means like being able to dare greatly. And it's just really interesting because shame and scarcity and all these different things kind of hold us back and make us feel unfulfilled or feel sad or feel all these things, but the only way that we're ever going to be able to have a happy, fulfilled, wholehearted life, I think is her word for it, is by being vulnerable. So it's like pretty fucking scary to be vulnerable, but it's the only way that you can be happy.
Mm-hmm. So when you're on like trying to make these teams and it's the percentage of people who are on the top team in the world, is that something like, do you feel that each camp you're being vulnerable?
So this is really interesting because I think that as an athlete who plays professionally, that we put ourselves in an emotionally vulnerable position all the time. Whether we realize that we're doing it or not, we're doing it because fans, coaches, people watching are judging the way that we're playing. And that is an incredibly vulnerable situation to be in, and one that people can be really like scared of or have shame over. So in that way, we're really courageous and vulnerable all the time. But I think in other ways, it's really hard because like sometimes for me, like I don't want to hear feedback from fans because it's not helpful. But like hearing feedback from coaches or teammates is really helpful. But sometimes being in the spotlight all the time makes it hard to hear any information because there's so much unhelpful kind of hateful information coming in, so it closes you off to the good information sometimes. So I really have to make a conscious effort to be able to accept the helpful information. And that's like that's one way in which I think sometimes I struggle with vulnerability.
Do you think you struggle with it because you want to like follow what your own path, what you think is right, or is it?
No, I think it's more that I'm like, God, I already know that I did all these things wrong, and then other people are lumping on all these other things that are doing wrong, and it's kind of just like a shame spiral more than because like I want to be the best. So in that mindset, it's like, well, then you should be able to take in any information, right? But I just think that sometimes it's hard to accept information just because you're like, oh, well, God, I did something wrong again. Well, no, you're not doing something wrong. What they're telling you is that do it this way and it will be better. So it's just more reframing it in my mind sometimes than being like, oh, I can't believe I did that wrong. So it's more on me than anyone else.
How do you deal with being in like the spotlight, the negativity from?
I think I would just like to say that I do not deal with it well.
That's why I go to therapy.
This is actually the half the time spent in my therapy sessions. No, I'm just kidding. There's this thing called quality filter on Twitter. Use it. It's awesome. I actually try not to read those things ever. I just think that whether it's somebody saying you did a great job or whether it's somebody saying you suck, what does it matter what that person thinks? So regardless, reading it is not really helpful. Because you're building yourself up. What if you had a terrible game and somebody told you that you're freaking awesome? Well, that's not helpful. So I guess, one, I try not to read anything. And two, it's just focusing more on like the feedback from the people that do matter. But otherwise, it sometimes is really hard to escape. Sometimes people are yelling on Twitter or Instagram, like they're straight up yelling or sending you direct messages. Why do you have to send me a directly hateful message? Like, can't you just keep that inside? I just don't understand. I'm not sending you directly hateful messages because I just don't care enough.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it has more to do with their internal issues than you.
Yeah, I know, but that's not helpful when you're reading it.
Do you have a favorite hate message you've gotten that made you laugh?
Well, you can tell me if you think this is funny. I mean, I think it's a little funny now. One of the messages is like, "Oh, I hope you break your leg so another teammate can start in your place." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" That is when I learned about the quality filter. That wasn't like one of those like. It wasn't like, "Hope you break a leg," you know, like you literally break your leg. So like luckily that hasn't happened yet. Knock on wood. Gosh.
How do you, if you have a poor performance, how do you get your confidence back?
That's a great question. I get asked about confidence all the time, and to me, confidence doesn't come from one game or one moment or one particular good thing or bad thing you did. It comes from practice. It comes from every day waking up at 6 a.m., heading out there, doing the same penalty kick, the same passing, the same dribbling every single day. And the reason that I have confidence is because I know that I've replicated this, just successfully, and then successfully with pressure, and then successfully in practice, and then successfully in a game. So there's all these different ways of making sure that you can, I don't want to say perfect, but make something better and better and better. And by doing it in this certain way, I think that that's how you build confidence. Confidence it's not innate. It's not something you're just born with. It's something that you have to work at. And I try and work at it every day.
Mm-hmm. Do you like, when you go to training, does it, who's cat?
I don't know. I was just like, what's going on out there? That cat doesn't even have a collar.
No. Yeah.
We get distracted by animals.
Training. When you're going out and training, when you're focusing on just like really specific things, what is going through your mind? Like just the basic stuff.
Oh man, I don't think that I think about anything. I just think that I'm fully focused on what I'm doing. I don't know if I necessarily have thoughts running through my head while I'm practicing. It's just complete focus. I'm consumed by whatever I'm doing. I don't have any space left in my brain to be able to think about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm just like, no, I'm going to work on this move, or I'm going to work on this pass. And then if it didn't go right, I'm thinking about how to make it better. Or if it did go right, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that exact same thing. And so I think but that happens after it's going on. I'm not like trying to think during it. I'm just focused on exactly what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have thoughts when you're practicing?
No, yeah, I think I love working on the really just like basic things and being like, okay, I just need to do this, like instead of, okay, the ball went left a little bit, I need to point my foot this way, and then just really honing in on that.
Like recalibration?
Yeah, it's probably my favorite thing to train. It's just the really like specific things, getting reps. That's what helps with confidence. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you some questions from the listeners.
Oh, yay. This is always the best part. The listeners are always the most creative and clever.
Yeah, this one's a little morbid, but I like it.
Okay, great. I'm going to have to talk to my therapist after this one.
This one's from Madeline Wood. Which two teammates would you have help you bury a body, national team or Thorns?
Okay, that's really messed up. I would like to preface this question with, I will try not to get in this situation. And also, I probably wouldn't bury the body. I'd try and melt it in acid. So there's no trace. But two teammates to help me. I really think Sink would have my back. I really think that she'd be like, well, holy shit, I can't believe you put me in this situation, but now that I'm in it, I will do whatever it takes to help. Because, she's team cap like that.
I think she would too.
Yeah. And let's see, who else? Maybe we should just keep it to me and Sink. Because I feel like bringing anybody else into it is just not right.
Oh, that's good. This is from, I think, Madeline as well.
Rock on, Madeline.
What is your funniest memory from the past NWSL season with the Thorns?
Anything with Mandy in it. Mandy, by the way, is Amandine Henry. We called her Mandy just to Americanize her a bit, just because we thought it was funny. But pretty much that girl is hilarious. So anything that she was a part of had me crying, laughing almost every time.
Do you have any specific examples?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Yeah. Do you have any?
Not that I can think of.
It was just small things that would just happen.
When she was in the car, I wasn't in the car when she was riding with Nadine, and Nadine's anger is a crazy driver and
nuts.
Pulled some big turn, and she's like, "I want to die now."
Yeah, that was so funny. man. So I unfortunately always get tasked with helping Nadine with directions. And there was a point where she didn't know how to navigate stop signs, which blows my mind because literally all you do is stop and then continue on your way. But she didn't understand how to do it, so we had to teach her this rule that was like STOP. And so as she was saying that, that was like the amount of time she had to stop, and then she would go. She also learned how to spell stop in the process, so 2 birds, 1 stone. But anyway, she was driving the practice, and we made a wrong turn, of course, but we're really close. So we're in this giant parking lot, and she just like whips the steering wheel to the left, guns it, rocks are flying in the air, gravel and dust is just like just spewing out from our tires. And we're in a minivan, by the way, like a Dodge Caravan. This is not like riding dirty status Mustang. So Mandy's in the very back and she's screaming like, ah! Very high-pitched French scream. And she goes, I want to die, not. And it was one of the funniest things ever. But I will say, I was very impressed that she used her English in a life-threatening situation instead of French. Like, wow, what a step.
Wow, that is. At the end of the season, I interviewed her for the podcast, and her English got so much better.
So much better. I mean, let's be real, guys. At the beginning of this, she could not even say Portland Thorns.
Yeah.
Portland Thorns.
Yeah, no, I really think her English is really good now.
It is quite good.
Okay, next one. Celeste Little, what is your guilty pleasure right now? Mine is a chocolate cake donut with chocolate frosting and coconut on top.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I think my guilty pleasure, since it's off season and you totally triggered my mind to this, is this beer called Death by Coconut. Have you heard of it?
No.
So there's this brewery called Oscar Blues in Colorado, and they make all these different types of beers, and this one's seasonal. And so it's a porter coconut beer, but it tastes really coconutty and a little bit chocolatey, and I hate dark beers, and this is the smoothest, most delicious beer I've ever had, and so I'm just like crushing them right now. Just kidding, one at a time. But I'll have I mean, they're just so good.
It actually has like a coconut
I really wish I brought you one now, because I have a few in my fridge.
Wow. Can you taste the beer? Is it taste?
I would say it's like a little bit sweeter than most beers are, but I kind of tend to gravitate towards like the Blue Moons with the orange in it, and like the blueberry beers and stuff like that.
Should try it. Alyssa Beckinson wants to know what is the coolest place she's ever been?
Like in the world?
Yep. Or wherever. Interpret it as you wish.
Coolest place I've ever been. Oh, that's so hard. I think that there's so many different special things about different places. So, like for instance, I love going to Rome because of the food and the wine and the people and the history, and my roots are from Italy, so going to Rome was a really special experience, one of my favorite that I've ever had. But on the very same trip, which sounds a little bit wild, we also went to South Africa, because that's not close. It's like, oh, we just popped over to Germany. No, we went to South Africa for the 2010 World Cup, and seeing that culture and getting to explore South Africa was super cool, and something that I'll probably never really get to experience again. So that was also one of my favorite moments. But really, all of my favorite places in the world involve being around my favorite people. It's always worth going someplace new, but it has so much more value when you're with somebody you love.
When you do go on these national team trips, how much exploring do you get to do?
None. I mean, you get to do a bit, but really not the type of exploring that I want to do. Like, I want to climb the closest mountain or go shake hands with the cool monks up the road, or try all this new food, but you can't try the new food because you don't want to get sick, or you can't go meet the monks because you have a lot of meetings, and you can't climb the mountains because you can't be tired. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of like barriers to exploring, but I try and do as much as I can.
I hope that you'll get to meet your monks.
I want to be one so bad. I'm gonna be like, please teach me how to be more mindful.
I was in Southeast Portland, and I saw like 3 monks. I was there wearing the like orange robes.
Really?
Yeah, walking around.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Is there some sort of like monastery around here, or do you think they're traveling?
Business
and pleasure. Oh my gosh.
So if you want to meet some monks, I'm sure in Portland there's some.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, if there's one city in the country that I would pick to be like, there's probably some monks, it would be Portland.
I should look into that. I'll let you know.
Yeah, please.
Okay, Kathy.
Hey, maybe they'll join our book club.
Oh yeah, we could read a. Do you like Buddhism?
Yeah, love it. If I was religious, I would probably be Buddhist.
Yeah, I think I would too. Except for someone was just telling me about nihilism.
Yeah, very similar, right?
Yeah, I guess it's not really a religion. It's a more of a
thought
theory.
Yeah.
I go into more of that, but anyways, yeah, we'll invite the monks to our book club.
Cool.
Kathy
Reynolds?
Nope. This is KBets05. I never know like whether to call them. Sometimes they don't have a name, but sometimes they do. And then sometimes their name are like Tobin Socks or something. And I'm like,
that's not right.
Yeah, I don't like calling them that because I just want people to have their own name. I think it's cool to be really into like look up to people, but when people just care so much about I hope they're just doing it for the right reasons and know that they're good enough as they are. They don't need to be Tobin Socks.
That's a
or
great
Kling's hair.
Mustache. What?
Mustache. What?
I have great wax. If anybody wants a recommendation.
What's your rec?
I'm kidding.
Oh.
I tweeze.
Kathy KBets05 wants to know what's it like for players leading up to the announcements for U.S. women's national team rosters?
No, man, you just can't worry about it. You just gotta live your life. You just gotta keep training, keep doing what you're doing for the right reasons, and hope that it happens. And when it does, make the best of it. And when it doesn't, keep doing what you're doing. Well, maybe rethink it a little bit because you didn't get called in, but keep working hard.
Do you find you're able to like tune it out?
For sure. When I'm with
That's
the Thorns,
impressive.
I'm all in on the Thorns. When I'm with the national team, I'm all in on the national team. And I feel as if mixing the two is not healthy.
Mm-hmm. And you can just block out when you're in one, you're able to just be like, nope.
Yeah, so I'm a terrible multitasker. I don't even try and do it. So there's only a few things in my life that I do. So I don't have many hobbies because I'm not able to like really invest in the hobby. So what I'll do is like I really love soccer, so I just do that the best that I can. I really love working with the Players Association, so I do that the best that I can. But like those don't overlap. When I'm doing soccer, I'm doing soccer. When I'm doing Players Association, I'm doing that. And whatever else my one thing is, whatever I'm doing there, I do that, and I don't try and overlap them.
That's a really great skill to have.
Yeah, sometimes. But like sometimes like things get messy, and I'm just like, well, I'm doing this.
I think that's better than multitasking for sure.
You'd probably get more done.
Just focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would think.
Yeah.
Because when I try and multitask, I don't know if you're like this, and tell me if you are, but like I get nothing done.
That, and I've noticed recently that whenever I'm indecisive about something, even if it's like the simplest thing, like what coffee shop I want to go to do my work, it's that indecision that causes me anxiety. But if you just make the decision and go with it, then all is well. It's not gonna be the end of the world. It's not a right decision.
We're really similar.
But you just said you're.
No, but like if I am indecisive, like it causes me stress. Yeah. So that's why I do those. That's great. Those lanes.
Honestly, I just had that realization of like my anxiety had been higher lately, and I realized it's because over like the stupidest things like that, I would try to be like, do I want to do this or do I want to do this? Do I want to work out first or do I want to do this first? And then it was just like not making a decision. Now I just am a lot better at being like, all right, do this. There's not a right decision.
No, you're right. There's a lot of choices in life, and we just have to make them.
Yeah.
And then deal with consequences.
Yeah. But we always think it's like, if I do this one, then I'm going to be missing out on this coffee shop. But
go tomorrow, Kendall.
Go tomorrow. But you can't do everything in life.
That's true. Even though we might want to.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that you really want to do in your life, like there's one thing, what would it be?
Like what context are we talking about?
Anything. You said you can't do everything in life, but you can do at least one thing.
Okay, this is a little out there.
Can't wait.
I have always, this is not like the one thing, but this is just what popped in my mind. Wanted to swim in a pool of paint.
What kind of paint?
Just some type of color that when you go in, you just get like covered and it just looks really cool.
Like you come out looking like the Blue Man?
Yeah, but not blue. I'm thinking more of like a pale pastel color. I think I watched, nope.
Nope.
I'm thinking more of like a creamy...
Like clam chowder. Like, are you gonna come out looking like clam chowder? No. I'm gonna be honest, this is really weird, and like no judgment at all. Can we make this happen?
So, to be honest, I interviewed these two girls who they started Wild Friends peanut butter nut butters.
Wild Friends.
Oh yeah, it's on my computer. But they told me they could make it happen in peanut butter and nut butter. At least I have their commitment. It's verbal.
Okay, so.
But when I was in Peru, I met this girl. I was traveling by myself, and she's from Germany. And I asked her what she does. She literally mixes paints for a living. Like she's the one who. And I told her my dream, and she's like, "Yeah, come visit. We can make it happen."
Okay, that's awesome, and it could be done in Germany, and Nadine could be there. So these are like all great things colliding. But if you need a different option. I know a manager of a Sherwin-Williams in Portland, which is a paint store. You also know him.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Armijo.
Kevin!
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
I just saw him, but he's manager of a Sherwin-Williams, so I kind of feel like we should reach out to him.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we need to talk about this another time. What would, but I really want to do that. Didn't even think about that.
Oh my god, Kendall's freaking.
Oh gosh. Okay, what about you though? What would be the one thing?
The one thing that I want to do? I think what I would really want to do is take my family, like my mom, my dad, my brother, all to Italy. And we just kind of meet our family that we have there. Just go wine tasting, ride some bikes through some vineyards, do the whole Venice thing, because, apparently that's not going to be around much longer because of global climate change. But that sounds something that would just completely fill me up. Mm-hmm. It's like combines all my favorite things together into one with all my favorite people.
And would you specifically want to be the person who, like, pays for it, does it for them, or just to be together?
If I had that type of money, yeah, that'd be awesome. But I just mean like if we could just do it as a family, however it gets paid for, I don't care. In an ideal world, it would just be free.
So let's start a GoFundMe.
No, I will not accept that money. There are so many better things to put that money towards.
That sounds nice.
Yeah,
it sounds a little bit more sane than my option.
Actually, I think yours is more interesting. Although yours might actually be more expensive, which is a little bit wild.
If we could discount though from our friend, then we might.
True, but like I kind of feel like the cleaning fee Might be like, can we get a little blow up pool and dip you in there? Or does it have to be like a full on swimming pool? What about a hot tub? We can turn the jets on.
Part of me just wants to be able to like jump into it, but I could do hot tub size, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so weird. I love it.
Last question.
Hit me up.
Andy Friednog. How has your experience been?
I want the Edie question.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this better be the Edie question. This is, the way that this question is phrased is like my favorite thing in the whole world.
Oh my gosh. Regular old Siri at Siri Harding asked, I want to hear about her experience being Edie Parsons' special friend. Second tweet. How did they come to be so close? What does she like best about Edie? Etc.
This is so good. First of all, I love how the question is phrased. Not like, how is Edie your special friend? No. How did you become Edie's special friend? Because, like, let's be real. She is the star of this show. Of the Thorns. She's the straight up star.
She is.
Oh my gosh. I don't really know how I became her special friend. I think that I just gave her attention and hugs and she liked me. I just think that she's like so cute and fun, and so I hang out with her all the time and we stretch together after games, and I feel like that was a bonding experience.
What do you like best about Edie?
I think what I love best about Edie is just her like innocence and like smile, and she's just like so accepting of everyone on the team. She loves everyone on the team just because they're on the team. And I just really like that about kids, that they're able to just accept anybody for who they are just because of who they are. Like, Edie doesn't think we're cool because we're famous and on the Thorns. Edie thinks we're cool because we play for her dad's team. And she just wants to be around us because her dad thinks we're cool. You know, like, that's really cool. That's her motivation for wanting to be around the team. And because her motivations are so pure, it makes it so special to be around someone like that. So whenever I get to be around Edie, I kind of like soak it all in, because she's just the one person in Portland who's like that I know. I mean, I don't know very many kids in Portland. So like, she's the only kid I know in Portland, so it's cool to be around her.
Yeah. I really think there's a lot of value in being friends with little kids.
Totally.
They are the most pure. They don't care what people think. They'll do them. They don't have to be in Sweden or Peru to think that they.
Edie just does Edie, you know?
Yeah.
And what's cool is that she's just like really kind to people because that's all she knows. Mm-hmm. She's not mean. She hasn't been taught to be mean or taught to like hate people because of the color of their skin, or like all these things that society kind of teaches us as we get older. They haven't really like gotten hold of her yet, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And I hope by her being around our team, she's able to learn some cool stuff too. We can kind of bat society back a bit. Because when I was growing up, like, tell me if your family was like this. I feel super blessed that my dad told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be. He didn't care. He never said, oh, you're a girl, you're in these things. And he never actually said, like, you can do whatever boys do too. He actually just said, because you're Megan, you can do whatever you want to do. Because you're a human. And you're entitled to wanting, and you're entitled to working hard. And if you put those two together, then you can do whatever. And I feel so blessed to be able to do that. And I want to be able to do that for Edie. Mm-hmm. And I think our team does a good job of that. We have some really special people around.
Mm-hmm. And I do think kind of what you're saying about how you didn't have a national team or professional players to look up to. And for the ones that, I think there's some people who just, it sounds like you're one of them. I feel like we're so obsessed. Like, you knew this is what you're going to do, even if it wasn't there wasn't a team to do it for. It's just like what you love. But for the ones that maybe are questioning themselves, to see that there are female athletes out there like making a living, hopefully we'll be able to like legit make a living in the future. It's just a really cool thing to be able to be that person for someone.
Yeah, it really is cool. Side note, do you ever think about if you were a boy playing soccer that we would be playing like in La Liga on Barcelona? We would be making millions of dollars a year. Isn't that wild? Just to think that just because you're a girl, that we are in the position that we are, and they're in the position that they are because they're men. Isn't that crazy?
I think about that often, and part of me, I do think it is, like, I feel very grateful that I'm playing because I truly love it. Like, that's what I want to live my life where I am doing something that I love and feel fulfilled. And if I have seen and observed that sometimes money can get in the way of that and make you play for not reasons that don't actually let you up.
Yeah.
But I do think about that, like, I'll look at, like, even just MLS teams, I'll look at, like, oh, this person just got, or a player who's just, like, a practice player will make more money than, like, the top player in...
Yeah, and we don't play for money, this is not my point, but it's just, like, the difference is literally anatomy.
It's actually, it's pretty funny. Like, I literally sometimes I'm like, wow, like, this is what it is, and I don't have control over this. And if I was literally just had male genitals or hormones.
I don't know why I'm laughing. But yeah, no, it's so crazy to me. I just don't get it. Especially coming from the Thorns. It's really hard to understand because, you know, there's so much popularity around the team and people are so into it. And, you know, when you see stuff like that, it's like, whoa, it should be like this everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, even the fact that for the Thorns, like, that is from, at this point right now, like, the best fans, the best atmosphere
in the world.
And to think that some teams, what team had, like, the least amount of attendance for you?
That I've played on?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Magic Jack or Sweden.
Yeah, I was with Sky Blue. And you just kind of you get used to, you're not playing for a crowd. It kind of reminds you why you're playing, but then you go and just, like, watch these games. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they're not any better than me, relatively skill-wise, but they're got these sold-out crowds and have these nice cars. I don't really care about cars at all.
No, but I hear you. You just like the option.
I would like the option for cars. No, thank you. I'd like the bike. I would like to bike to training.
I get it. No, it's just really interesting sometimes. And, you know, kind of circling back to Edie, I want her to know that when she grows up, if she wants to coach or she wants to play, it's going to be better for her than it is for me. And that's really important to me, is to even just talk about it with you and on a public podcast, or talk about it with, if one of the Timbers guys wanted to talk to me about it. I don't fault them for making money. Rock on, dudes. Do what you gotta do. But what I would like is for the people to try to understand, or like, why is it you don't watch women's sports? What is the root issue? We were talking about earlier, like, one, you can have anxiety and then you get mad because you have anxiety, which causes more anxiety. Well, what is the root issue? Is it because you don't think women are fast enough and it's not as exciting? Or is it a deeper issue? Is that the secondary issue? You know, like, what's the issue? Like, let's get to the root of it.
Yeah.
And once we get to the root of that issue, no judgment here. I just want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to figure out how we can make this better and how we can move this forward, because I want women and people coming after us to have it better than we do.
Mm-hmm. I have talked to a lot of my brother's friends, and I don't know if it's just because, like, they're biased, but they, like, a lot of them enjoy watching female soccer better than men's, just because they think it's more of a sophisticated style, not as based on physicality.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Let's get to the root of that too, and then spread it around.
Okay, I want to end with some rapid fire questions.
Oh yeah. Okay, so like one word answer.
You can make the answers as long or as short as you'd like.
Oh, but they're rapid fire questions.
Yeah, ask them really fast.
Okay, hit me.
What was your first thought when you woke up this morning?
More sleep.
Did you get more sleep or did you?
Heck no, I practiced.
Nice. What is your morning routine?
Wake up, brush teeth, contacts, make breakfast, brush teeth again, practice. Yeah.
A double brush.
Heck yeah! You know, you got that nasty taste in your mouth when you wake up, and then you eat food, and then it's like, okay, well, I can't be going out in the world with crumbs in my teeth, so then I brush them again.
Wow. Good for you.
Good for my teeth.
Yeah. What do you make for breakfast?
It depends, but I really like chia pudding, so I'll just make like a week's worth and keep it in the fridge, or avocado toast and a smoothie or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the biggest misconception that people have about you?
I think that people, because I'm loud and outgoing and pretty direct, people think that I'm not sensitive to their feelings. And maybe I'm not as sensitive or empathetic as I think I am, but I really try and work on that and think about how people come from their point of view. So I think people sometimes think that I'm a bit combative, and so they can't chat with me about things, but you can pretty much chat with me about anything, and even if I do get loud and I do get like very direct, I still want to listen. But I just get so passionate that like I'm like my voice starts getting higher and I start talking faster and then louder and blah blah. But yeah.
That is something I really respect about you, is that you are able to speak your mind and you will stand up for yourself, and you're very passionate and can, like, it may come off as aggressive sometimes in training or whatever, which is totally fine, but that you are, that's just who you are, and you are very receptive and will like listen to people and are open to not passive aggressive. Like, you want to deal with an issue out loud and vocalize it, which I feel like sometimes people have a tendency to just like keep it to themselves and it causes them issues, but you just address it directly, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not good at the whole passive aggressive thing at all. Some people I'm like, what is going on? When they're being passive aggressive to me, I'm not very good at reading it.
What is one absurd belief or habit that you have?
That I can do anything. That's absurd, but I think that I can.
You fully believe that?
Yeah.
That's another thing I really respect about you as well. I'll just toot your horn.
Thanks.
Like, you're a very confident person. You're not afraid to say these things, but it doesn't appear to be in a cocky way. It's just like, I know I can do this. I know I'm like one of the best in the world. I know I'm this, and like.
Yeah, I don't really think that like cocky is a good look, you know. And maybe I am. Some people I'm sure think that, but I don't feel that in my heart. Like, I don't feel like I'm better than anybody else by being who I am. I just feel like I am who I am. And the only reason I believe that I can do anything is because, you know, when I was little, my dad told me, and when I set my mind to things, I don't let failure stop me. So I like fail a lot of times, but those are my biggest learning moments. And so whenever I fail, I don't just quit. So I just keep doing them over and over. So it's not like I can do them on the first time, but I just think that I can do anything is because failure never deters me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not because I think I'm so good at things that I'm just going to be able to do it. No, I know that I'm not good at things, so I work on them a lot, and I fail a lot, but the failure never makes me stop.
Mm-hmm. You're really good at failing.
I'm really great at it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the like coolest things to think about, is the people who are the most successful, however you want to define that, are the people who've actually failed the most. Usually they're not afraid of, they learn from their failures.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're going to keep going at it, I guess you can't even call it a failure. It's just more like a learning moment. Because if you keep doing it, then you haven't really failed. You just like had a setback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. What is the worst advice you've ever been given?
Start shaving your legs. I hate that.
Is that really?
Laser hair removal is the way to go, kids. I'm kidding. No, that was joke. That was joke advice. That was the first thing that came to my head. The worst advice I've ever been given. The worst advice that I think that I've ever been given is listen to other people. When in your gut, you know you should ask more questions. Like for instance, if you have an injury, and the doctor tells you or the athletic trainer tells you this is what's wrong with you. Well, okay, well, I'm still having pain. I'm still having these issues. But that's it. And they're like, yeah, well, you just need to rest, you know. But you don't. And that's a failure on me by not saying, no, I want more. I want imaging. I want this. I want that. I need more info. I need to talk to more doctors. I need more second. No. Don't just rely on what people say. Dig into it. Ask more questions. Get more advice. Because that's you're your own best advocate. Nobody else is going to look out for you but you and maybe your mom.
I agree 100%, especially when it comes to your like health and well-being.
Yeah, health, wellness for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could tell a bunch of stories on that.
What is your favorite failure?
The 2012 Olympics, I think. Sitting there in the stands. We weren't even allowed down on the field when they got their gold medals.
Mm-hmm.
So watching that, it made me probably a lot jealous, but I was conflicted because I had a bunch of emotions, happy emotions for my teammates. Like, I didn't want to be like, oh, I want to be there instead of her. That's not what I was feeling. I was feeling like I just want to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was more the jealousy of it. And that impetus made me try something different and something new. And trying something different and something new is one of the biggest influences in my life. Whether it's soccer or style or politics or all these different things, I think that I had a huge paradigm shift in Sweden about a bunch of different ideas and topics, and really made me into the person that I am.
When you were at the Olympics, did you stay in the Olympic Village?
There were so many messed up things about being an alternate, and one of them was that we weren't actually allowed in the Olympic Village, so we were on the bus, and one day they just dropped us off, and they're like, you have to stay here, and we're like, what? So we got off, and there was nobody to help us, so we had to walk around this crazy campus trying to find our rooms for 2 hours. And eventually I just called Becky Sauerbrunn, almost in tears, and I'm like, Becky, I just can't do this. I really feel like I'm not part of the team, and there's nothing around here, there's no food, there's no nothing, it's just me and the other alternate. And I was like, can I please stay on your couch? And so she let me stay on her couch the rest of the time, which is super nice because she's in the middle of preparing for an Olympic final, you know? So I just stayed on her couch and tried to stay out of the way.
In the village?
In the village.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. What is your greatest accomplishment?
I hope it hasn't happened yet.
Thus far.
I think that what I'm working towards is just trying to be who I am and being happy and fulfilled and feeling good about all of that, in my professional life, in my personal life, in my financial life, in all these different lives. So I guess it's not an accomplishment. I feel really good about a lot of them, but I want to be able to bring them all together and feel completely not comfortable, because that's not the right word. I think you should always be a little bit uncomfortable because you can always get better, but at least feel like I'm enough in all the categories. Working towards it.
Uh-huh. Is there a category that you feel like you're lacking the most?
Like all of them. No, but obviously I'm like my phase after soccer life, that one's the scariest because it's not here yet and I'm preparing for it and I don't know exactly how it's going to go. So like trying to project into the future is fruitless and it's also stressful. So to me, that one I need a lot of work on because I need to be more mindful about just being in the moment and like working on what I can now. And then when I get there, full steam ahead.
Nice. Focus on one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. What is one actionable tip or piece of advice that you can give to female athletes that they can apply to their life today?
Oh, wow. Yeah, just know that you're enough. Like, you can always be better. You can always work on some skill. You can always, be a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. And all those things are okay because we want to be the best and we want to be competitive. But just know that you're enough. Like, you getting out there and, like, trying to be better is being super vulnerable. Like, that's putting yourself out there, like, in front of your coaches, in front of whoever, but also in front of yourself, like, to just see if you can do it, right? So knowing that even if you can't surpass a certain level, that's enough, and you might be sad that you can't get past it, but be okay with who you are because that's who you are, and you're pretty fucking cool the way you are.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, Kling, for chatting. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to pursue our dreams together.
Yes, book club
and painting and...
Oh yeah, painting. I love how you're calling it painting. like I'm gonna be involved in this except for filming it. I'm for sure just filming it.
It's called painting.
That's called painting.
What's your...
I was like, wait, what are we doing? Like that wine and like painting thing? No, we're filling up a pool with Sherman paint from one of our mutual friends and having Kendall jump in it, and I will film it. You're all welcome.
What's your favorite hobby? Painting.
You guys paint together? Well, sorta, yeah.
As long as you invite your special friend Edie, then I think Edie would enjoy it too.
She would have too much fun. I'd be like a little bit worried that we'd have to be lifeguarding.
You can't see her.
Where'd she go? Do you know how mad Mark would be? Mark would be
Then
mad.
you'd have to hire Sink to bury them.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all. That's really messed up.
Okay. Well, thanks
We're
for
gonna have to edit that part out.
We'll see them.
Oh gosh. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Thank you for chatting.
It was fun.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. For the show notes of this interview and every other episode, head over to aeroliving.com/podcast. Also, I would be so very grateful if you took 2 minutes and left me a review on iTunes to let me know how you like the podcast. One last thing. Today is Friday Feels. Would you enjoy a short email from me that provides some of the coolest things I've been feeling this week? That could include a mindset technique I'm implementing, workout music I'm jamming to, a book excerpt I'm pondering, whatever I'm currently obsessed with, which changes very frequently. It's a quick read, then head over to aeroliving.com and subscribe. I'll also send you a free gift of the top 10 books I believe every female athlete must read. That's aeroliving.com. Just enter your email and I'll send it your way. Have a great day if you want to, and keep aero living.